This morning, I spent a couple of hours automating a task that takes about an hour a week to do. That means going forward, we're going to save about 50 hours a year. That's pretty cool. However, my reflection on this was not so good. Why was I the one that A, spotted this needed to be done, and B, ended up doing the automation myself? It's something I fall back into sometimes, and what I want to talk about today is the frameworks that I have put in place that should be working in my business that needed a bit of reminding with my staff. I want to explain what that framework is, how you can implement it in your business to ensure that your team are optimizing their tasks, and also how to use events like this as opportunities to reinforce great behaviors and installing a culture of continual improvement and systemization within your business. So the question is this: how do entrepreneurs like us who don't have an endless supply of cash, how do we leverage the best apps, virtual assistants, automation tools and systems to scale our businesses, increase our profits and have more time to do what we love to do each day? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name's Dr. Steve Day and this is Systemize Your Success. So the story behind today's episode is all about our community platform. We have an events calendar in there and we sync that with our Google Calendar, and then we share that with our clients so they can have it in their calendar. It's a lot of synchronization and duplication, and it was pretty clunky to say the least. The reason it was set up like this is because it was just the easiest thing to do at the time. When we started with this new platform, there was 101 things to do, so we just did whatever we thought was the best at that moment in time. That was about 18 months ago, yet this process hadn't been changed or updated much since then. It had caused loads of problems along the way, and it should have been identified as something that needed to be optimized, but for whatever reason it was missed. I spotted this today. I was doing some updates and I realized, look, there must be a better way of doing this. So I sat down and spent about an hour thinking about how to reorganize everything, just get rid of stuff that wasn't relevant anymore, to streamline the whole thing, and then to automate as much as possible. The result is that this entire process is fully automated now, meaning that we're saving around 50 hours a year, which is an absolute awesome win. It also means that our clients are served better because there is at least less confusion about where they need to go to find out events. Also, the recordings are automatically added to our community after each event is finished, meaning they get access to recordings quicker. And the whole thing is just complete revolutionized the way we're doing this simple part of our business. The real take home from this, though, was not like how, wow, this is an amazing thing to have automated, but that isn't actually what the point of today's episode is about. The point of today's episode is when I was sharing this with my team, I realized a couple of big things. Firstly, it should not have been me that spotted this process needed to be optimized. And secondly, it shouldn't have really been me that actually did the updates and automation itself either. Although I love doing this kind of thing, it's not what I should be doing with my time, and I should be empowering my team to do this for me. So today I want to share a framework that we've had in a company for about 4 years, maybe even longer. And it's one that I have to go back to and reinforce time and time again with my team to try to install a culture of continual improvement and that systems thinking that every business needs in order to minimize the work that's done, to streamline what's going on, and to make sure that we're continually automating and optimizing everything we're doing to ensure we're not bloating in terms of the number of staff we need to do all these tasks, because inevitably, as our businesses grow, the number of tasks we do or the number of times those tasks need to be done will increase. Just the sheer fact that we have more volume of traffic coming into our business, more clients to serve, we end up doing more social media content, whatever it is we're doing, there's more as our businesses grow and develop. So if we're not careful, we can simply delegate work down, which is arguably the easiest way to offload it from a manager or a business owner, and give it to people to do. But if those people aren't really mindful of like what they're doing, of is there opportunities for this to be either eliminated or automated or streamlined, they can end up just doing things like a robot. And that means that they are taking up their time doing stuff that maybe they shouldn't be doing, or maybe it could be done quicker. There is costs involved in that in terms of the wages for those people, but more importantly, in the opportunity costs of all the things they aren't able to do because they're bogged down doing things they shouldn't really be doing. This framework is called Optimize with Ease. You may have heard me talk about the Sharpen with Ease process in earlier episodes if you've been following this for a while, and this is pretty much exactly the same things. I've just updated a few things over the years, and now it's called Optimize with Ease because I felt that was a more appropriate name. Optimize with Ease is a recurring task that I get my staff to do, where they look at their tasks, look at the work they're doing, and identify which of their tasks or their processes could be eliminated, automated, streamlined, or enabled. Now, over the years, some of my staff have absolutely loved this. They've jumped on it, they've gone above and beyond, they're just continually thinking about this. And those are the people that I absolutely find priceless, because they're continually reducing the amount of time they're spending on doing the tasks in their work in order to free themselves up to do even more systemization or more valuable work for me. However, there are the others who really struggle with this. They see it as an optional thing that they'll do when they find time. And sometimes it gets pushed back by month, and no improvements ever get made. But this is the catch-22. The reason these guys are so busy is because they're not doing this task. And so they're not finding time to do the one thing that they need to do in order to free their time. So this, as a leader, as a manager, is something that I keep on going back to. And today was one of those opportunities to do that. I was able to share that this task has gone on for 18 months, this task regarding the calendar, synchronization, etc. And it was just the same thing happening every single week. We were posting recordings, we were updating calendars, we were syncing things. And it's literally just the most mundane, repetitive work going on and on with no changes whatsoever. And these are the ideal tasks for automation. In this case, I was also able to eliminate some of the parts as well by just sitting down and really thinking through what was necessary, what would make this as simple as possible. Are there any parts of this we can just get rid of entirely to make it easier, maybe for our clients or definitely for our staff to actually work with? And therefore we can just take away some of the work, and then the work that's left, we can either automate it or streamline it. So after doing this exercise, I present this to my team to let them know the updates, because it's changing the work that these guys are going to do on their daily basis. In that meeting, I realized, why was it me that spotted this? The reason I spotted it was because I was looking at something else. It sort of came up and I just noticed there was X, Y, Z that was happening. And I was like, surely we can do this better. And I sort of got my head into it, and it was early in the morning when I get up sometimes and do some deep work and some thinking. I just got a bit carried away. It was a cool thing to do. I enjoyed it. I love automation. I love messing around with technology. I love optimizing. That's one of my most fun business activities to do. But also it's why am I doing this? I'm the business owner. I shouldn't be spotting these things. I shouldn't be the person that's saying, hey, hold on a minute. Why is this so boring? Why is this so repetitive? Why is this taking me so long to do? Surely there must be a better way. And so I use this as an opportunity to put back to my team the importance of doing their Optimize with Ease task on a regular basis. I'm going to walk through the Optimize with Ease process now, so you can see exactly how you can apply it in your business. And then finally, I'll share how you can get your own copy of this so you can start using this in your business. So first of all, Optimize with Ease is about eliminating, automating, streamlining, and enabling tasks. So let's just work through each of those 4 components and why each one is so important and how they sort of flow into each other. So first off, can we eliminate the task? Now, this is the obvious, easy win. If you don't need to do this task anymore, maybe it's just something you started ages ago that you just haven't actually seen any value in. For example, we had some friend request process that was going on in our Facebook for a while, and it was taking around 10 minutes a day. We also did birthday greetings, and that was taking about 10 minutes a day. These are things we either just need to get rid of them, because I was not seeing any direct value. There's no actual clients coming from these activities. There's no evidence to say they're actually doing anything positive. So we either need to, in the case of the friend request system, we actually got rid of that. And then with regards to the birthday greetings, we just automated it. So that was a great example of just being able to get rid of something and free up time. So eliminate is always the number one. Can we just stop doing this? Will it actually make any negative impact? If not, let's just either pause it for now, measure the impact, or just eliminate it altogether and be done with it. The next part is about automation. Could this task be done by a robot? Because if you feel like a robot when you're doing something, the likelihood is a robot or an automation could do it for you, especially now we're in the world of AI. So many things which were difficult to automate before are becoming easier and easier to do that, because we can use AI to do the thinking part, the sort of the evaluation part, which used to have to really have humans involved or have complex logic gates and things. And it was just too clunky and too easy to break when you're building automations using very rigid structures, whereas now they can be very fluid and dynamic because of the use of AI. So our opportunities for automation are growing exponentially, in my opinion. And this is something that maybe tasks in the past, which weren't really candidates for automation, are becoming more strong candidates far, far earlier and far quicker and far easier than ever before. However, there is a cost involved in automating tasks. It takes time. Like I spent 3 odd hours this morning building this automations to actually fix these things. That's 3 hours I could have been spent doing something else. So I've got to be sure there is a positive value, like a gain in me doing this work. And I've got to be sure this is something we want to do for the long term. And I've got to be sure that actually it's not just cheaper and easier and more effective just to get a human to do it. And it's not automating for the sake of automating. In this example, because this was a part of a process improvement, I eliminated certain parts, I automated certain parts, and I've ended up with a completely hands-free system of something that's essential to our business. It was, I think, a really good candidate for automation. As a rule of thumb, I typically say if it's taking more than an hour a week, that's roughly 50 hours a year, that's a good candidate for actually spending some time automating it. Because even if it took you 10 hours to build an automation for something, and that's pretty rare for most simple tasks, then actually is still the net gain over the first year is still a 5x gain. So it's probably a valid thing to actually think about automating. And the last thing about automation is automation doesn't stop when we automate. We've got to have some sort of process of actually how is this being documented, so therefore it can be maintained and improved and revised later on, because automation will do whatever you've told it to do when you built it. It will never think, oh, I should be improving myself. Maybe with advanced machine learning and AI that will change things, but right now you're still going to have humans involved. The next part of ease is streamlined. Can we make this task more efficient? Is there a better way of doing it, even if a human's involved? Can we automate a bit of it, but maybe a human does some? Can we add AI to augment the human, to make the human faster at doing stuff? Could we just improve the way we are structuring the work or the order in which we do stuff? Like there's so many ways you can optimize tasks with just sitting down and thinking them through. Because often when we delegate work out, it can be done quite haphazardly, it could be done quite quickly, it could be just getting something off your shoulders and not really thinking about how well you've handed it over, and actually just spending some time, you or one of your staff, spending some time thinking about how to improve that. It can make a huge, huge difference. Now, the last part is enabled. Enabled is about how I take a streamlined task and document it to capture the best practices, to capture the best way of doing it. So therefore, I can delegate it to somebody else and it to be done to a similar standard. I can scale because I've now captured the best way of doing it in the business, and therefore I can get more people to do the same thing at a high standard. And also it means it's protecting the business because I'm locking that knowledge into documentation to ensure that if that person leaves, we don't lose that knowledge. So that's the optimize with ease process. We eliminate, we automate, we streamline, and we enable. And if you want to get your own copy of this so you can implement this in your business, I recommend you assign this at least a monthly basis. If you're using a task matrix or task board system, this will pop into your monthly column. And then you get your staff to actually start thinking about process improvement, about optimization of their tasks on a regular basis. If you head over to sys.academy/guides, that's sys.academy/guides, you'll find a link to download the Optimize with Ease framework so you can start using this in your business from today. Hope you found that helpful. Please do hit subscribe for more episodes like this on how you can improve your business, make it more streamlined and automated, and ultimately live with more purpose, presence, and peace. Thank you very much.